Have you ever seen a company roll out a big, ambitious sustainability plan? They spend a ton of money, set these amazing goals, and then a few years go by and not much has actually changed. It's a huge puzzle for so many businesses. Well, today, we're going to dive in and figure out what's really going on behind the scenes. So let's start by talking about something called the strategy impact gap. It's basically that frustrating space between a great plan and, well, not so great results. You know the story. On one hand, you've got this beautiful, polished plan. It's optimistic, it's got the board's seal of approval, the whole 9 yards. But then, on the other hand, there's the reality. Progress has stalled, and the results just don't live up to all that initial excitement. It happens all the time, and it's a real source of frustration for everyone. Which brings us to the big question, right? What is the missing link here? Where does that amazing strategy on paper get lost in translation on its way to the real world? Well, the answer, as it turns out, is usually hiding in plain sight. And it's not about throwing more money at the problem, hiring a different consultant, or writing an even fancier report. Nope, it's something way more fundamental. Yep, it's the people, your workforce. Every single person, from the executive suite all the way to the front lines. They're the engine that's supposed to make the whole thing go, but somehow they're the part of the equation that gets overlooked most often. Think about it. A strategy is really just an idea on a piece of paper. It's the people inside the company who actually bring it to life. They're the ones making the thousands of tiny decisions every day, finding new ways to do things, and building a culture that can actually create lasting change. Without them, a plan is just, well, a plan. So if people are the key, how do you turn your workforce into this incredible asset? Well, the first step is all about the foundation. It's about building something called ESG literacy. Now, you've probably heard the term ESG. It stands for environmental, social, and governance. It's the framework a lot of companies use, and getting everyone on the same page about it is absolutely critical. Now, ESG literacy isn't about making every single person a sustainability expert. Not at all. It's about creating a common language, a baseline understanding that stretches across the entire organization. We're talking about your marketing team, your finance folks, the people on the factory floor, everyone. When they get the basics, you don't just get better results, you get a huge boost in engagement because people finally understand how they fit into the bigger picture. So the goal is simple: make the whole company stronger from the inside out. The action is straightforward. Give every employee the knowledge they need. But the outcome? That's what's so powerful. When people finally understand the why, why we're cutting back on waste or why we're switching suppliers, they go from just following orders to actively taking part. They start coming up with their own ideas, and that's when you really start to see your reputation as a leader grow. Okay, so once you've got that broad foundation of literacy, it's time to go a level deeper. You've got to cultivate some leaders on the ground. And this is where the whole idea of creating internal champions comes into play. Just think of ESG champions as your local experts, your go-to people inside their own teams. So while everyone else has that baseline knowledge, these are the folks who get the deep dive, specialized training. They're the ones who can really lead the charge, answer the tricky questions, and translate that high-level strategy into real actions their department can take. And the process is actually really practical. First, you just find the people who are already excited about this stuff. And trust me, they're in every company. Second, you invest in them with some serious structured training. And third, and this is the most important part, you have to empower them, give them the backing and the resources to actually go out and make a real difference in their corner of the business. You see, when you put these two things together, that broad company-wide knowledge and this network of passionate champions, that's when something really amazing starts to happen. You finally stop just having a strategy and you start creating real, tangible impact. This quote pretty much says it all, doesn't it? It's a bit of a warning, for sure, but it's also a clear roadmap. At the end of the day, whether your big goals succeed or fail really comes down to whether you've invested in your people. It is truly the most critical investment you can make. So, to wrap this all up, I want to leave you with just one question to think about for your own organization. Right now, today, is your workforce an active, knowledgeable asset that's pushing your goals forward? Or, through no fault of their own, are they kind of an obstacle simply because they haven't been given the tools to be part of the solution? Because honestly, the answer to that question is going to determine your impact.